Thursday love. Thursday love. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Sherry butt high to mine, so I look like I'm a midget compared to, and my mama sitting beside me. So y'all pay her y'all pay the height difference, you know. Why y'all
Really?
Yeah. She's sitting on something.
A pillow.
Her butt will be highlighted even if she won't sit on no pillow.
No, it ain't that thick. I would like to be, but it ain't that thick.
Yeah, the Lord has He's laid his hands behind her.
Shut up, boy.
Welcome, y'all, to another. What's up, Arthur?
Hey,
man.
Arthur.
Congratulations, man, on that's on the 30th. That's on the 30th. Congratulations, man, on your engagement, man. We've been seeing the pictures, man. I am excited, man, about what God is doing in your life, man. Keep doing it. Keep representing. Keep representing fellas. All right. But hey, everybody. So welcome again, God, to another edition of Thursday Love. I'm about to say Live at the Tabernacle. Another edition of Thursday Love. Tonight, what Steve Harvey said. Oh, we got a good one for you tonight, y'all. So we're gonna ask y'all to sit back, man, and just get on the boat, y'all. Get on the boat. Don't sink. Get on the boat. Just ride with us. We're gonna take y'all somewhere. Tonight we have two awesome guests. That has awesome stories, man, and we're gonna sit back and we're gonna sup, as they say in the church. We're gonna just sup and listen to the stories that they have. I'm excited to learn. We're not gonna do much talking tonight. We're just gonna allow I'm not gonna do much talking. Sherry used to do more talking to me, but she's the talkative one of the bunch. But we're gonna allow them to tell their testimony, and we're just gonna enjoy. Anything that you want to say since you sitting high to me?
Now, welcome everybody to Thursday Love, another edition of Thursday Love. We are so excited that you are up here with us. As you know, Thursday Love try our best to hit some topics that are very important. And the topic that we're hitting tonight, two topics, as a matter of fact, are very important. If you don't know, everybody should know that October is the month that we bring attention to domestic violence awareness as well as breast cancer awareness. The thing is, I was talking to a friend one day, and I was talking about the segments that I was going to do, and this was one of the segments that I was going to do, and it was like, well, you know, domestic violence happened to me, and I was like, well, you know, domestic violence is normally not something somebody talks about, because I was trying to find somebody for the platform, and I said, but as far as breast cancer awareness, you know, more people are more vocal. It's become a global situation where everybody is very vocal about it because we need help, because we're losing our sisters, our mothers, our aunts, and so forth, and even uncles, because there is it's a such thing as men breast cancer. But domestic violence, I think, should be just as spoken as well. I know it could be such a private matter, and some people are even shamed. But I'm grateful for the ones who do speak up. They do not let their silence keep them hidden. And so tonight, like my husband said, we have two amazing women, two very strong women. They have survived, and I'm grateful that they are here, despite of everything that they may be going through or how they feeling. They thought enough of us to say, yes, we'll come and share our story. We'll be that inspiration to someone. So I hope someone out here that are listening today, you share this video, you share this stream with some friends, some cousins, whoever, because you never know who might be going through a situation like this. You never know someone who may be going through a situation like this, and you pray that it never hits your front door, but if it is, that you'll be equipped with the verbiage and terminology and how to just be there to empathize or at least sympathize with someone. So we're going to look forward. Let's bring on our two amazing guests on tonight.
What's up, Jarvis?
We have India Wims and Ember Georges.
You like a model shop,
huh?
Like you set up for a model shop.
Listen, I was just looking like The Walking Dead about an hour ago.
So yeah. So welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like I said before, accepting our invitation to come on Thursday Love, to share your story, to share your testimony with others. Hey, Rick.
What's up, Rick?
For those who do not know India Williams. For those who do not know Amber Georges, just take a few minutes to introduce yourself. India, you can go first, then Amber, and tell us why you're here.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Um, yes, I am India Williams. I am a native of Raleigh. Um, I am a mother of three amazing children. Um, I am a surviving thriver of domestic
Okay.
violence. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes. I use that term because that's part of how I overcame. And so I've been asked recently to share my testimony of the period in which I experienced domestic violence in my former marriage and just how I overcame. And so I feel like it's time to share and empower someone who may be going through it at this time, and also encourage others who may be able to support those who are going through it and recognize the signs and things that sometimes we overlook or
Mhm.
think it's not our business, and so we kind of just pray for them and let it go. So I'm just here for everyone to just kind of impart a little bit of wisdom and share my experience. I'm not a professional. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything, but I do have lived experience that I
Right.
can share that may provide hope or encouragement to someone. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is it my
Amber.
turn?
Yes,
Okay.
Amber, it's you, girl.
I am Amber Georges. I am from Durham, North Carolina. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I am a business owner. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend, a sister, and I'm also a breast cancer survivor.
Amen.
I'll tell you a little bit about my diagnosis in a little bit, but
Okay.
that's pretty much sums me up in like five words, five phrases, five sentences, six sentences.
You sure?
Yeah,
One
that's
plus
it. That's enough.
one
That's
plus
enough.
one. One plus one equals two.
That's enough. That's enough. I got a lot to say, so let's just let that's my little small intro.
Okay.
Got you.
Okay, got you. Hey, Jonathan. Um, so tonight I didn't want to get into statistics because a lot of people are quick to throw out statistics. They throw out numbers and stuff, but a lot of people don't listen to the numbers. A lot of people want to hear the story, and and sometimes some people are not bothered until it hits their front door, and so the story helps people um to be prepared for if it does hit their front door. And so on tonight, India, I would like for you to go first. Please share your testimony. Please share what you went through and survived.
Yeah, so this story kind of got out back in 2014 when I just had a revelation to share it on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it went viral, um, over 400 some shares. Inbox was flooded, and I said, "Wow, I never knew that my story would impact people that much."
Right.
So let me just give you a little bit of background without telling the full story.
Okay.
I met my ex-husband the year after my father died.
Wow.
I think I was fresh and fragile and vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and probably just looking to place that love in someone somewhere. Um, so just to give you that little piece.
Yeah.
But when I met him, he was not a monster. He was not abusive. He was very endearing. I was talking about him as he was a country boy. He had that charm. And so that's kind of what drew me to him. Now, once I spent more time around him, I saw the signs of uncontrolled anger, aggression, not towards me necessarily, but towards others.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in observing that, I kind of didn't know what to do with it because I said, well, he doesn't act that way towards me. So maybe he just has some pent up, frustration towards those people.
Right.
Um, but little did I know he was showing me some signs at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it progressed to where the aggression was towards me, but it had not gotten physical yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because when we think of the word domestic violence, immediately we think about hitting and punching and some type of physical violence. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, it starts with emotional abuse.
Wow.
put downs, threats, coercion. There's so many different levels on the spectrum of
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence, and I think people have to really be aware of what those different levels are, or what those different components are. And I always talk about the wheel of power and control. And if you've
Mm-hmm.
never seen it, go Google it. Go Google
Wow.
it and look at all the different types of abuse that's considered domestic violence. But we don't think of those things as domestic violence because,
Right.
number one, we've seen it and we've heard it, and we're like, oh, that's not domestic violence. That's just folks. That's just folks, being married people.
Yeah.
But if you look at the things, it'll give you signs of what could lead to others.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to see those things, and it started to get physical. But by that time, I was in deep, 2 babies. We had the set of twins, and then I felt trapped. To be honest, financially, he had a hold on me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a form of abuse, financial abuse.
Right.
And so it became more and more difficult to pull away from the hold that he had on me.
Mm-hmm.
So it escalated, but I became more and more fearful of what it would look like for me, being a single parent of two little babies, out
Right.
here trying to raise them on my own. But I knew the relationship was not a good one. It was not
Mm-hmm.
a healthy relationship. I knew it was toxic, but my brain couldn't comprehend anything different that would cause a struggle for me, and so I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until there was a violent episode between the two of us, and one of my daughters brought me a weapon, and that is
Wow.
what. And she was only 3 years old, and so that is kind of what turned it for me, and helped me to take the steps that was going to be necessary to leave and stay away, not take him back, because we
Right.
had done that back and forth, break up, make up, break up. Um, but it took faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
It took humbling myself to receive support outside of what I was used to,
Mm-hmm.
meaning public assistance and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it took a strong will to buckle down and do whatever it would take to, get on the other side. And
Right.
so that's where the thriving comes in, because I tell people that I visualize myself as a thriver, because it was really a dark time in my
Right.
life, and it was really hard to visualize anything other than the situation that I was in. Imagine being
Mm-hmm.
taken care of, so to speak, financially
Right.
by your husband, who now is gone, and you have to figure it all out.
Right.
Um, and so it took a strong will to decide, I don't care how bad it gets, as long
Mm-hmm.
as we have food to eat and a
Mm-hmm.
roof over our head, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. And so support system was there, to help guide us and provide support. And it's still, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. Uh, and it's still some days really, really hard.
Wow.
But I tell you what, I will never trade my peace,
Mm-hmm.
for any of that.
Right.
um, so I thank God for the ability to take care of my family now without having to worry about without looking back and worry
Yeah.
about what could have been. And so, now I'm in a position to provide encouragement and support for others who may be going through that same struggle. And so
Yeah.
that's just kind of in a nutshell my story.
Have you written a book about your experience?
I have not. It's funny. Someone just mentioned to me, when are you going to write your book? And I said, every time I sit down to get ready to write it, another chapter is developing.
Wow.
So,
That's good.
yeah,
You can have a volume then.
you're right. That
But
sounds like the way.
if you shared your story and there's 400 shares,
Yeah.
man, you have a dynamic message to share with other people.
Mm,
And you know, as well, men and women, you know, because when we think about domestic violence, we only think about just women being abused, but
you're
you
right.
have men who are abused also, you know, so
Absolutely.
domestic violence goes both ways. But I definitely think you need to confirmation. I definitely think you need to put that pen to paper or them fingers to the type keyboard, typewriter, whatever you want to call it, and get that message out there because I
Yes,
believe it's going
sir.
to bless a lot of men and women.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
receive that. I receive that. Thank you.
Amber agreed, so if Amber agreed, you know it got to be fact.
Yeah. I'm
So,
ready to read it.
so
Yes.
India, let me take you back just a little bit.
Sure.
So you start noticing the verbal abuse, and I've heard that before from another person that was domestically abused. It's they said it started with the verbal abuse, but the first time he laid hands on you, what went through your mind?
It was an out of body experience. If you ever heard people, describe something like that, it felt like I came out of my body and was looked at me like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we doing. That's what we allowing right now.
Right.
And nothing within me had the strength to say, this is not okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when they say matters of the heart, oh my goodness, it's so
Right.
true. But, I will go back to um, soul ties and how
Mm-hmm.
how real that is.
Yeah.
When you've connected with someone,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it so hard to pull away. And we were, it's so. But yes, looking back, I kind of did not recognize myself. I should say
Right.
I didn't recognize, me being strong-willed and no, usually no one can tell me what to do or push me around, and yet this
Right.
person had just completely taken control over my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not using good judgment on many levels, and so
Right.
I didn't recognize myself. I didn't recognize me for who I am. So yeah.
And so during that period when you were going through that, um, did you verbalize it to anybody? Because you said you had a support system after you left, but did you talk about it while it was happening, or this was just the little kept secret in the house?
Yeah. So that's one of the stigmas of domestic violence is that it brings about shame. So
Hmm.
you don't really talk about it. We should. Um, but when we do sometimes say things,
Yeah.
especially, and I'm just gonna say that my ex-husband was very charismatic. He was a charmer.
Oh.
Narcissistic is the word I would use to describe his personality.
Oh.
And so he won a lot of people over.
Hmm.
And once you win people over, it's hard to convince them that you're doing something so far out of character, that than they've seen.
Right.
So it's not, I don't want to say they didn't believe me. They didn't want to believe me. It was
Right.
like, oh, that can't be. Are you
Yeah.
really? So I don't pass judgment on anyone for not um, hearing my cry for help, because typically it's not a clear cry for help. It'll
Mhm.
be, little phrases and little things that someone may say. And so that's why I say, though, if we familiarize ourselves with that wheel of power and control
Mhm.
and not just think about domestic violence, oh, she ain't get, I don't see no black eyes. She all right.
Right.
If we,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
if we familiarize ourselves as a community with what that looks like, then we know and we can more easily recognize even when a person is not verbalizing and saying, hey, I'm being threatened, or I'm being, if you hear those things and you see those traits, then you have a better chance of being a person that can intervene and help provide support.
So I have a question. What
Hmm.
do you think about people who call people who say about people who's been you know who's in domestic violence when they call people, they call them weak, or what do you say about people who, because like I've never experienced it before, or at least I don't think I have. Okay,
Mhm.
well I haven't, at least with Sherry beside her biting my finger, but
Get it
and so
out.
she was just hungry. Yeah, she was hungry that day. She was hungry. Um, but no, like, what do you say to people who have no clue about what it is to be in that situation, but yet and still have so much to say about people who are experiencing that. What do you like? I don't
Yeah.
know how to necessarily
Yeah,
address it.
I hear your question. So me 10 years ago probably would have been a very different response than a wiser and mature me today. So to that person or those people, I would say educate yourselves, because we speak out of ignorance
Uh-huh.
many
Yeah.
of the times, and so we only speak out of our own experience, or sometimes we're displacing our
Mm-hmm.
feelings of and so it could be that we ourselves have experienced it, or are perpetrators, and so we don't want anybody talking about it. But yeah, so for someone who says, a person who experiences domestic violence is weak, I would tend to say I did have weak moments. I felt I was weak,
Mm-hmm.
but we all have moments of weakness now, don't we?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
that's just a part of being human. So to tell me that I was weak doesn't uh, make me any less in need of support, because we all have weak moments, and when we are at our weakest is when we need our support system to guide us through.
yeah.
So to say, oh, they're so weak, you haven't really made a point. Because I mean, what are you going to
Right.
do about it? Because it's all of our business, right?
Right.
And that's the thing that I try to get people to understand, is that um, we try so much to ignore what people who may be experiencing domestic violence are going through, and we chalk it off to, that's married people's business. You don't get in married grown folks stuff.
Mm-hmm.
um but really, at the end of the day, it's going to be all of our business, because there's going to be potential financial support that person may need, or the people may need. If there's children involved, they may be, end up being a part of our um, criminal justice system or foster care system. There's so many
Right.
aspects that involves our community, and so we have to start taking responsibility and take our community back, and be supportive and be vigilant. Yeah.
Okay. You done? He like, okay.
What
I
you gonna do? What you gonna do with him?
I don't know
Oh,
what to do with him.
you
I
should.
don't. I don't.
She's been doing something for 16 years. Um,
Okay.
I
Okay.
guess
All
it.
right.
I guess it's working.
Here we go.
But I do have a question. You
Yes.
said you had babies and your daughter was 3 when she
Mhm.
bought some. I appreciate it. Thank you. Was she the baby at the time, or was she the oldest?
Um, she was the same age as her sister. I have a set of
That's right. You
twins.
said twins.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Uh-huh.
I
Yep.
forgot.
Same
Okay.
age.
so so do they remember any of that? I know it was such a young age, but sometimes traumatic experiences can cause flashes or whatever. But do
No.
they?
No. Not that particular incident, but other
Mhm,
incidents.
they
Absolutely.
they do
Yes.
remember. And
Yes.
so, now a lot
Hmm.
of people today are in the 21st century. They're saying going to counseling, going to counseling. Now, is that something that you did with your girls, or you did that on your own?
Everybody, the whole family, all
Hmm.
all four of us, all four of us at some point in time did
Hmm.
go through counseling. I did it very early on, myself, with individual as well as group,
Right.
with other women who were experiencing similar issues. And then once I understood how to move forward, then I
Mhm.
got my children involved as well.
Okay.
And so to this day, we're all still involved in therapy. So it's not a one shot deal, because, it's a growth process.
Right.
And you find yourself, when you get in different phases of your life, um, different forms of it kind of, creeps up on you, and you have to handle that. You have to tackle the issues, not push them down. So
Right.
yeah.
Um.
Hold please.
Okay, that was my fault.
Hold please.
He just
That's the
wanted.
Holy-
That was my fault. I'm
That
sorry.
was the Holy Spirit speaking.
That was my fault.
We heard you, God. We hear you. We hear you.
And I
Yes,
have one more
Lord.
question. I have one more question,
Yes.
and but and you please let me know if it's too far. If it you care not to discuss. At any time, did you report him to the police?
Absolutely. Many
Yeah.
times. um, so if anyone has ever experienced, dealing with law enforcement when it comes to domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a couple of ways that it can be handled. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're calling about a legitimate concern that, an incident that happened, and the officers come out, they investigate, they see the marks, they're, because
Mm-hmm.
verbal abuse,
Yeah.
threats, that's kind of
Yeah.
hard to prove. But if they see marks, they're going to do what they're supposed to do, and they're going to make an arrest. And then typically what happens is there's a hearing, and you're supposed to go to court, and you're supposed to testify against the perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what happens is, um, the women get intimidated, or the victim, I should say, because
Yeah. Yeah.
what Will brought up is that sometimes it is men. So I don't want to brush over that at all. But a lot of times the victim would get intimidated by the perpetrator to not show up to court.
Wow.
That was my case many times. So then what happens is, the next time you call the cops, when they come out, they remember from the last time
Yeah.
that she's kind of crying wolf here.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you go to court, the DA's looking at you and they're like, "Yep, I remember you from last time. Yeah, you messed up my case."
Wow.
And so it gets ugly. It can get really ugly when you don't follow through. But that happens a lot. And so the answer to your question is yes. Law
Okay.
enforcement was involved many times, and he went to jail many times. I went a few times. It was just really ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was just there were a lot of things that could have been prevented, had I had the courage and the strength, had I heard other stories from people that were on the other side and said, "I got out, there's a other side to it, but we're so secretive, and we won't share."
Right.
Just kind of like, when people have miscarriages or lose a baby, it's so
Mm-hmm.
hush hush. And there may be a sister right next to you that experienced it,
Yeah.
that could have hope
Yeah.
that you can overcome this, because I did. And
Right.
so, like I said, the reason why I'm so passionate about telling the story is because there's someone that's the 10-year ago me
Yeah.
that needs to hear this, that needs to hear there's a other side. Like,
Right.
what I'm in right now is not my destiny, and there's a other side. And I hear this woman talking about how she made it through, and
Mm-hmm.
it's okay if you got to get public assistance. It's okay if you have to get, humble yourself and ask for support from people, because that's just a season. That's just a
Mm-hmm.
season. And whatever you need to do to remove yourself from that situation, it's worth it. It's
Right.
worth it, because there's peace on the other side.
That's gonna sound good in the book.
I know.
Yes.
Is that the title of the book?
I don't. You
Write
don't
it
call
down.
out. You don't call out. You don't call out plenty of
Write it down.
plenty of
sis.
titles. My story.
Right.
The other side of the brook, or the other side of this. What I said, other side of the brook.
Lord
I'm
Jesus.
sorry, that won't in there. But you got what I'm
Nah.
saying.
Yes, I do.
The rough side of the mountain. However you want to say it. Luther Brown and Sister Jennifer
Not the
Brown.
rough side of the
Luther
mountain.
Barnes.
Not the rough side of the mountain.
Oh my.
India, I
Yes.
appreciate you sharing that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and you, because of it, is so much hope in your voice.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, it's not a discussion that women or the victims will have. Let me say that it's not a discussion. It's something that most people are ashamed or embarrassed. And one thing about us, we don't like to be ashamed. We don't like to be embarrassed. We don't like people knowing our business, especially when we feel like some of that was our fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a question.
Sure.
At any, I'm sorry.
No, go
At
ahead.
any time that this was happening, right? Did you blame yourself for this taking place?
Absolutely. I think that's part of the part of the goal is to get you to, part of the perpetrator's goal is to get you feeling like it's your fault. You have things like things being said to you like, yeah, it's your fault because you had these babies, and I didn't want, more children. I already had, children, and I'm trying to get my business started. So here I'm internalizing that, like, is it my fault? Like, did I sabotage his whole life? Knowing good and well that it takes two to tango, and and everything in me that I know says no, that's not the case. But that's what manipulation does to you. It makes you
Right.
doubt your own intentions and your own abilities. And so all of those thoughts went through my mind. But
So like,
I
it's
stand
like
here today knowing that that's not the case.
it's like it's being inside of a shell and beating on a fiberglass wall and just screaming for help, but no one can hear.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
Yeah.
you're screaming for help, crying for help,
Mhm.
and a lot of us are, generally consumed with our own lives, and that we don't even sometimes even take the time to see beyond our own situation and circumstance and our own marriage. To
And
even see
too,
help.
I think people really are hopeful and they want marriages to work. And let me just say for a fact, just for the record, that I am an advocate for marriages, for Black marriages, Black love. I love it. So, even through all the hurt and, what I experienced, I'm still all about, I believe God honors marriage. I believe, that is, my purpose. I believe I'm purposed to be a wife. And so I do believe that it will still happen. But I think we're all kind of hopeful in that way,
Right.
in the same way that when we're young, we picture our wedding and what that day is going to be like. And we're all excited thinking about, what we're going to name our babies when we have a baby, because we have this kind of picture of what happily ever after looks like. And so when things happen that are outside of that, we
Right.
try to push it back over in there and, like, it'll work out. I got to have my happily ever after. So the same thing kind of happens with our loved ones around us. They want it to work so bad that sometimes they ignore the things that are showing us that it's not working out. So
Right.
if that makes sense.
A lot of sense.
Okay.
Nice.
A lot of sense.
Thank you so much, India.
Thank
All
you.
right. Amber. Okay, Amber.
Neon.
Okay, Amber.
Like we in Star Wars.
I love it.
I'm in my husband's boom boom. I'm in my husband's boom boom room. Okay.
It's
Empire Strikes Back.
Boom Boom Room don't sound good. You know
It
what?
don't.
When you
Well,
what's the movie with Eddie Murphy?
I
Richard
don't
Pryor?
know, but it ain't
No,
music.
Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy.
I don't know, but it
What's the
ain't
movie?
music.
India.
well, this
with
is his
Richard
studio. This
Pryor?
is
Richard
Mike
Pryor.
with all these lights.
All night.
Harlem Nights. Now, when he said Boom Boom Room, Boom
Oh,
Boom Room want a good room
Yeah,
now.
it won't.
it
That
was
was a good
not.
room. Some
This is
people.
like
Jesus
the man
won't in the
cave
boom
like
boom.
slash studio with these lights.
Yeah, Jesus won't in the boom boom.
I know it
room.
look like it's a pole in here, thank you, but it's not.
Well, I see it.
It's
I see the garage. You can hang on the garage door opener at the top. Put some
These
chains
lights.
and
Y'all. Let's
Anthony
not even
in the Boom
start
Boom
on
Room.
that. Right.
But Amber, please share us your story, your testimony, sweetie.
Okay, well, I actually found a lump in my breast in 2018. Mike and I were dating at the time, and I just happened to look down through my shirt. I had clothes, I was fully clothed. And I saw it, and I remember mentioning it to my sister, and I don't think I said anything to my mom, but fibrocystic breasts kind of run in my family. So that's like, this is like a lump in your breast that just may appear and then go away. So then Mike and I get married. It's still there. I even mentioned it to him. It's still there. And so last June, I went to my annual appointment. And so this same doctor didn't think anything was wrong when she saw it in 2018. I was too young. It's nothing, your family history is nothing. So I did not go to the doctor in 2019. I went last year, and for my annual. And she's like, that may be why you haven't gotten pregnant yet, from the lump in your breast. Maybe it's something we need to remove. She said, I'm sure it's not cancer, but this time I'm going to send you to get a mammogram just to make sure everything is good. Mm-hmm. So she scheduled my mammogram for a week after my appointment. So this was our 1-year anniversary was like a week prior. My 1-year wedding anniversary was a week prior. So I go in July 1st, 2020 to get my mammogram. And I was nervous because my mom said it would hurt. I'm like, so I'm texting her like, oh, mom, it didn't hurt, whatever. And so the tech came back in and said, we need to get more images. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm hopping, get more images. Got to hurry up because I got to go to my nephew's birthday party. I got to go get him a Nerf gun. So then they come back and do the more images. I sit down. So then about 11 doctors come in and I'm like, it's probably, Duke is a teaching school. So I'm still like texting my clients. I'm coming, I'm still coming, whatever. So they're like, yeah, we need to do an emergency biopsy because we're almost positive that you have breast cancer. So immediately I'm like, I used to work in a hospital. Y'all just doing too much right now. Okay. I was like, do we have to do the biopsy today? Because I have one client and I have to go get this Nerf gun for my nephew. His birthday is today. We're going to his birthday party. And they were like, we suggest you do it today. So, the pandemic had just started. So Mike couldn't come up with me. I was alone. So I text him and said, they think they found something. It's probably nothing to worry about. I'm going to do the biopsy. So I was actually there. It was supposed to be a 30-minute thing. I was there for a total of 6 hours. Wow. So I text my mom, told my mom, they think they may have found something. They want to do a biopsy. It's probably nothing serious. So they do the biopsy. And the nurse came to wrap me up, bandage me up. And the doctor came in and was like, without a pathology report, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you have breast cancer. We don't know how bad it is. It does look like you have a couple of swollen lymph nodes. So we don't know, what stage or anything, but the way the calcifications are growing in your breast and in your milk duct, you have breast cancer. And I'm still like, okay, whatever. So I did not tell Mike. I did not tell my mom. I told them that they thought they saw something. So I went the entire weekend thinking, maybe, how sometimes they overreact at the doctor. I'm just kind of, still kind of like whatever. So they called me that Monday and they told me that it was breast cancer. And they saw something in a lymph node. So I get to Googling, and the worst thing you can do not look at your my chart when you go to the doctor, because let me tell you, I saw that word, that M word, that metastatic word, and I started Googling. I said, oh God, I got stage 4 breast cancer. I got 6 months to live because I saw that word in my chart, right? So I'm like, oh my God. So when they called me.
Hold on, Amber. I'm sorry to interrupt, but explain the word for those who may not know, because I had to look it up myself.
Metastatic?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting there. I'm about to get there.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
speaking in tongues.
So when when they called me, they told me, he didn't know what stage, he didn't know all of that. They had to run tests to see if it had spread or whatever. So when I called my mom, I told my mom, I got her, and she was smiling. She was like, "You're gonna be fine." So I didn't get my mama's real reaction, because I know good and well Hilda lost her mind. I know my mama lost her mind. So to this day, I have not seen her cry. I have not seen her be sad. She was like this the whole time. Wow. Like the entire time. So she prepared me to come downstairs and tell Mike. So I told Mike, we prayed, he cried, I told him, open up to me, let me know how you feel, whatever. So here comes the test, and I'm like, oh God, they're gonna find it everywhere. So I had to get a CT, MRI, regular x-ray, and then the PET scan. The PET scan was the final test. That was to show us where else it was. I was so scared to get that phone call on Sunday. The doctor called me that Sunday, and she said, Mrs. Georges, your cancer is still within your breast. You are stage 2A. I was like, you sure? Because my chart said metastatic on there. Mm-hmm. So she said, no. They use that word so metastatic breast cancer is stage 4, but they use the word because it has spread to my lymph node. Okay. So it only spread to one lymph node, two lymph nodes at the time. So it was still considered early. Thank God. So it was absolutely nowhere else. So I mean, I cried like never before when I got that phone
You
call.
cried?
Yes,
What?
I was like, because I was so nervous. I was so nervous. Because when you hear cancer, you hear stage 4, you like, what?
Yeah, I think it's a death sentence.
So,
Right?
right. So I started my treatment August 6th was my first chemo. I did not tell my clients. I told, my close circle, like my family, my close friends. I didn't tell them. I had my mom and other people tell, because some of my friends, I ain't have time. Because I'm like, listen, I'm not going to sit there and cry. If I ain't crying, you don't need to be crying. Okay.
Right.
So I did not tell everyone. I really just told maybe like 4 or 5 people, including my mom and my husband, including that 4 or 5. It was their responsibility to tell everybody else.
Right.
So I was going through chemo. My clients didn't even know. The day after I had chemo, my first chemo, I went to the shop the next day. I shouldn't have, but I did. So I really sitting here now, I suppressed those feelings of actually feeling the fact that I had breast cancer this whole time. Like, so I didn't come out until this time last year to everyone, social media, my clients. A few clients I did tell, because they would have been upset if they would have saw it on Facebook and I didn't tell them.
Yeah.
But I really, and my mom kind of pushed me to say something publicly, because she's like, Amber, you are such an inspiration. You have no idea. So you really will save a life by coming out and telling everybody what you're going through, still looking the way you're looking and you going through all of this. I'm like, well, Mom, I'm still going to be,
Don't be Amber.
I'm still going to be, but no, seriously. So that's why, I mean, let's be real. So,
Right.
No, but that she pushed me to, and I just didn't want to appear weak to anyone, and the questions of, oh, does it hurt? And I just didn't want to deal with those things. And I didn't want nobody to treat me like I was fragile. So that's why I really didn't want to tell anybody until I was like done, But I think everyone saw me still moving along. And so nobody really treated me any different for the most part, So, yeah. That pretty much sums it up. So I had surgery January. I got done with chemo last year, November 23rd last year. I was done with chemo, 6 rounds. And then January this year, I had a mastectomy. They removed my left breast. They did not want to take both. They did not think it was necessary. The chemo did exactly what they wanted them to do. My tumor was the size of a lime. And I had another one that was connected, that was small. So by the time I was done, I didn't even feel the tumor. So I thought maybe they're going to just take the rest of the lump out. The doctor, they were very aggressive with my care. They removed breast tissue. They removed everything. They didn't want, and they removed, instead of removing the 1 or 2 lymph nodes that were affected, they removed almost 20.
So it wouldn't grow somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
So they removed 19 lymph nodes. So I had radiation. I did 30 rounds of radiation, and I have one more treatment left. November 15th, and I went with active treatment. So I was deemed cancer free January 4th this past year. So
did you ring the bell?
I did.
I would have bought my own bell and rung it. I'd be ringing it now.
I did ring the bell. I did. I really did. And to be honest, everybody sees you, complete those milestones and ring those bells. But honestly, it's just hitting me that I went through all that. Like, and I cry more now. Like I look back like, wow.
You?
Me.
Praise you, Jesus. I'm ringing the bell now. Ding, ding, ding.
Cancer has made me softer. It has definitely humbled me. And I'm not ashamed of God's grace, what he has done for me, what he's done for my family. Like, I was never ashamed, but I was kind of nervous to, I guess, give God the praise publicly as much. Now, listen, if the wig fall off, it just fall off.
We saw you on Facebook shot with Mike. We saw you. Your heels came by that much off the ground, but we saw you.
Let me tell you something. I had my legs are so heavy 24/7. I couldn't even believe I did that. So because of the infusion I'm on, my body, like I feel so heavy all the time. I have extreme fatigue all the time. So the fact that I even got up there and did anything, I was also, let me tell you, this is TMI, but I'm gonna say this anyway because it's okay. When I got back to my seat, so I have a special bra on and I have a prosthesis in it. It was almost out. Let me tell you something.
Well, because you were bumping your arm like that. I saw you
If
just
my
missing
boo
your
would
arm.
have look,
Oh
Ladria
my.
told me
You
she
just
would
Oh.
call
back,
it for
keep
you.
it
She
back
would
up
pick
and
it up
keep
for
giving
anybody
God
doing
praise.
it.
Pick it up.
Listen,
Pick it
and
up.
my
Put it down.
balance, let me tell you, my
Pick it up.
balance is so bad.
Pick it
My
up. Just-
balance is terrible. So when I saw that I even did that, I was like, I'm surprised I did that because most of the time I feel like I'm gonna fall.
See what the Holy Ghost will do.
Because I'm so one-sided now. I really am
Mhm.
one-sided. So it's like, you
Mhm.
know, but I'm grateful. It is definitely harder now mentally than it was at the beginning. So that's pretty much what I'm dealing with now.
I will say that honestly, man. When they should say, when you go through, when God brings out a certain things, you just can't keep quiet. But honestly, man, like Cher can tell you, I am the type of guy where like I cry at funerals and I cry at worship. That's about all. But like as I get older and as I experience life, like it's not necessarily you become softer, but you become more in tune with your emotions, because
Yeah.
people deem tears as being weak, but
Yeah.
no, you know when to stand up and be strong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know when to put your feet down and no tears. But life, it's because you're just grateful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, look, I don't care really what you think about me. I know what God has brought me from. I know what God has done for me. A matter of fact, I
Mhm.
shouldn't even be standing here now. But because God is so good and He's just so gracious, He's just such a loving God. I don't care what you got to say, because this ain't your testimony, it's my testimony. And I know what He's done, so I'm gonna give Him praise. If I gotta cry, now I've never shouted before, but I tell you what, I can make you shout the other breast out, girl.
Listen,
I can do it on the organ.
that boob was almost out. It was
I can do
almost
it.
out.
Oh boy, I can do it. I can
It was
tell you.
almost
I
out,
can,
y'all.
A flat, E flat. I
My
can
friend,
do
my friend was like, oh my God, her boob.
it.
But
Hold on.
see, that's squad goals because she would have had your boob and nobody would have known. She would have
Ain't
Nobody
that
picked
would
that
have
boob
known,
so?
but
up.
I mean, it's just
Right.
listen,
Hold on.
I am
What's
not a shouter either. I'm a crier, but I just couldn't. Like, God has just been so good because honestly, Black women, we go like Black women are at the bottom when it comes to breast cancer. They usually find it later in Black women versus white women. And it's like a lot of us don't go to the doctor. And then I met so many like breast cancer thrivers to where they have stage 4, been living with stage 4 breast cancer for 15 to 18 years. So because the treatments are so different, they're living with it now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like it's crazy. I didn't know it was so many different breast cancers. And me being diagnosed under 40, no history. Because of the type of breast cancer I had, they tested me genetically. I tested negative for breast cancer. Negative.
Right.
So it was not even so. Like I did a podcast and I said, listen, if I had to be that 1 out of 8 to save my friend's life, my family's life, I will do it all over again. So you guys can make sure that you are doing your breast checks, because I was not checking my breast before. I was not. I just wasn't. I just was ignorant to the information about breast cancer. I really was. I was not doing my monthly checks before. I was, the mammogram should start at 35.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
a lot of the breast cancer survivors and thrivers that I've met have been under 40.
Yeah, my sorority sister, she's called, she has her own group called Fee Fighters. She's from Durham. You might know her. She knows everybody in Durham herself too. Her name is Felicia Bass.
Okay.
Deloach. So,
Okay.
but yeah, she found her story is still the same as yours. She did not have any previous in her family, no previous generations of breast cancer. She was under 40, and her doctor was like, "No, girl, you're good." And then come to find out,
that's what it was.
She had breast cancer. So, and that's the sad story that we hear in that. But I want to take you back. You made a comment earlier. You said that that towards the end you were able to actually talk about it and say something about it. It was more easier then. Could you also say that because of this, when the news hit, you immediately went into protect mode? And the reason why I'm asking, because most Black women that I know, even myself, October is also known as infant and stillbirth or miscarriage and stillbirth month as well, lost. And so as soon as I lost our daughter, that it's like my mind shifted to protect me. protect and so I stand up in this wall. So the emotions don't easily come in. I just have to do what I have to do to survive. When I lost my mom, same thing. It's like immediately it stood up and was like, okay, I got to do what I got to do. Now I find myself 2 years later just crying about just about every day over my mom. Like I'm way more emotional. Like I get a chance to breathe now because I've handled her business. I've handled the situation or whatever. I had to do what I had to do at that moment. But now that I've gone through the battle and I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I can breathe now. I can speak about it now. I can actually function and I can actually exhale. Can you say that the same? And the same, Indy, if you want to answer that too, you can. But Amber, yeah.
I just really honestly started thinking about myself, to be honest. I went into protective mode for my son, for my mom. We had just lost my grandma. Like 2 months prior. You know, my son's dealing with a lot with his dad, you know. So I really was not even still in that moment thinking about myself.
Right.
I'm just now getting to the point to where, because my doctor, who I go and see every 3 weeks when I have my infusions, she's like, because she's young, she follows me on social media too. She's obsessed with me, but it's okay. She's nice, but she's just like, Amber, I saw all the stuff you did this weekend, and she sat me down and she said, you need to really take care of yourself. And so like she said some things to me, and it was like a light that went off. Like this whole time I really have been trying to make sure everybody is still okay when I'm the one that's kind of going through it. And so my brother also had some words for me. It was some bad words, but he had some words for me last year to tell me like, Amber, you put so much out into the universe. Like just let people be there for you. Let people be there for you. It's okay. Like, you know, so I will say I'm just getting to that point, being protective over myself now. I did not go into protective mode over myself then. It was more of, Mama, are you okay? Don't tell Ebony, that's my sister. Don't tell my brother yet. Mike, are you okay? Like I did not tell my daughter. I did not tell Mariah because she's so sensitive. I wanted her mom and dad to tell her, but I don't even think they fully told her. She just knew something was wrong, and she became a little clingy. You know, she would hug me more, and she would. Y'all know Mariah. She's just a sweet girl.
But kids are smart too, though, because kids can discern that stuff.
Right? They
Even
can.
if you don't say it, they can discern.
Especially that one.
Because she got some Jesus and some ghosts in her. That's why. So that's how she can pick that stuff up.
She really does. And you know, of course, like y'all saw the video, I posted up what my son said, but it was just really more about everybody else. Like I really just started considering me, to be honest.
Yeah. And that's just it. You go into that protective mode, whether it be for you or whether it be for other people.
Everybody,
you find yourself holding yourself up until you get through that process, or at least to the end of that process, and you see yourself, okay, I can breathe a little bit here.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm just kind of like, me, I just had breast cancer. Like what? Yeah. Like I go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I like to, especially like when we lost Leela. I mean, it was a bad time, but I'm the type of person where I like to experience the emotion as I'm going through the process. Like I don't like to because I don't want to have to go back and experience nothing. Like I want to go through if it hurts, I want to feel that pain while I'm going through it, so I can walk. And once I'm done with it, I don't have to deal with it anymore. You know what I'm saying? If I do talk about it, it's in the form of a testimony. Because like we lost Leela, like I came back to the apartment and I cleaned up and it was some stuff, man. I cleaned up everything. Because I was like, I got to go through this because, like, when she was at the hospital, you know, she had people coming there. You know what I'm saying? I had my father, my brother, and like 2 more other guys that came out of all the people that I knew. You know, so I was like, I got to get myself together because once she gets home, like the real tell of the tape is going to, you know, it's going to hit. You know what I'm saying? And so she's going to need somebody to be there. But this is time I like to feel it. I mean, it hurts, but I like to feel it while I go through it, you know. So when I've gone through it, I ain't got to go back through it no more. So I mean, but different people deal with, you know, the situations and emotions differently.
But that's why I said most women, because by us being nurturers, automatically, innately, it's in us. We automatically build up this, okay, I got to do what I got to do for my children. I got to do what I got to do to cover and protect family, anybody that's around us.
But as males, we're protectors also.
Yeah.
So either you nurture, we're there to protect. So we're there to ward off anybody that's going to bring harm. you
Right.
got to go.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so
Oh, she
I'm sorry,
India.
I'm sorry.
IW.
Yeah.
She hadn't seen her picture.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm listening to your amazing testimony, Amber. Oh my God. Woo. And I'm just listening to so many parallels between a domestic violence situation and a breast cancer situation. And a lot of times we just think they're so far apart, and
Mm-hmm.
but they when I hear you say about early detection,
Mm-hmm.
you know, knowing, being more educated on what those signs are,
Mm-hmm.
and taking the action that you took so that you
Mm-hmm.
could, you know, go and find out more about what was going on with you. Same thing,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing those signs and knowing when, when there's this doesn't feel right. Like this doesn't, these words don't feel right to me. I'm this is not how I'm supposed to be loved,
Mm-hmm.
And so early detection is the first thing. The second thing we both talked about that shame of just like really not wanting people to know, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and there shouldn't be anything wrong with wanting people to know because we should want our folks to support us and be there for us. But there's that stigma of, no one wants to have cancer. No one wants that word, be labeled with that word. No one wants to be labeled a domestic violence victim. No one wants that. So
Right.
there's that shame there. And then coupled with that is, not wanting to appear weak. That weakness is what I heard both of us
Yeah.
talk about. So there's so many parallels, but there's victory on the other side too
Mm-hmm.
for both of us. And so, I just love the fact that we can talk about these things together. And
Mm-hmm.
I wish that we would talk about it more freely. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I was asked to be a part of this because
Me
the
too.
more I hear the stories talked about together, because we
Mm-hmm.
typically don't have these together. It's like, let's have a domestic violence conversation. Let's
Right.
have a breast cancer, but we're talking about it together, and it's forcing people to see the parallels
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
similarities. And
So
so I'm thankful for that.
Indy,
Yeah.
you can always go back and watch um, this episode, so you can make sure you put that in the book, right? So you don't forget your thoughts. I mean, I'm
Right.
serious. I'm dead serious.
Right.
When you
Yeah.
go back and
Yes.
look at it when you write it and
Yeah.
say, and put that because that is great. You know what I'm saying? That's
Mhm.
awesome. But yeah, don't forget to go back and watch it so you
Yeah.
can put that in there.
Absolutely.
Don't cheat the people.
Everybody's everybody's story is so different because everybody goes
Mhm.
through their own experience. But it's amazing how when we do come together and we discuss those things, that there are certain emotions or certain feelings that we have, um, that that the enemy will have you feel like you're all alone in.
Mm-hmm.
As much pink as I see in October, you know what I'm saying? There's still someone who feels like they're alone, you know. You know, in any situation, no matter what you go through, a lot of people feel like they are alone. And so you try to voice it, you try to express it the best way you can to let them know that they are not alone. Amber, one more thing. I know we're short on our time because I don't want to keep everybody over too long. But can you mentioned to me one time, you said to be exhausted, to be tired, um, and those treatments. You're like, I'm so sick of those treatments. You know what I'm saying? Um, my sister had to go through radiation because she had brain surgery. Um, and she said some of the same things. It's exhausting. It's tiring.
Mhm.
Can you just, just share a little bit to those who don't know about what does that look like? Going into a room to have radiation treatment
Chemo
or
and
chemotherapy.
radiation or just radiation?
Either one, both. It doesn't
Both.
matter.
Chemo. So they wanted me to get a port because I had to go through so many treatments.
What is that?
What's a
What's up
port?
for?
Yes.
So it's a device that they put in your chest and it goes to your main artery. I did not get it, as you can see. I said,
Yeah.
y'all gonna find these veins. Because what we not gonna do, I ain't gonna no, y'all gonna find these veins. So I didn't want that. They wanted me to get it up until like now. You sure you don't want to port? No.
Because you see them on certain women. It's like a
and they
keloid.
get infected. I didn't want
Yeah.
nothing else.
Okay.
I didn't want nothing else. Y'all gonna find these good old veins in here. So the chemo was absolutely terrible. I had 6 rounds. It broke me down. It broke me down. From my head to my toes, my body hurt. And so when I got to the 4th round, I was gonna call my mom and I said, Mom, I can't do this no more. It's too much. I don't want to do this no more. She said, yes, you do. You going. So that was the end of that. So but I did ask my doctor, like, do I need blood? Do I need fluids? Because I'm so weak. And they were like, you're getting 6 treatments and they're strong treatments. Most women get them spread out in like 30 treatments.
Wow.
But you are young, you are healthy. We knew you could do it. I never needed blood. I never needed fluids. I never needed anything. My labs were most of the time wonderful. And I don't know how. I don't even know how.
I know how.
Well, yeah,
3 letters. POD.
But like, because what chemo does, chemo gets rid of good and bad cells. So, so then the radiation every day, 7:30 a.m., about 10 minutes, Monday through Friday, 30 times. I was very tired after radiation. Very, very tired. But I was only tired maybe a few hours, and then I go to work later on the evening. And then the infusion that I'm getting now, I'm just a little fatigued and a little moody. Not nothing bad.
How many doses do you have to get? How many doses?
I have 1. Can we say it together? One more. No, 3 days after my birthday. November 16th is my last treatment. Now,
because it's the month. November is a great month.
November is the best month. Are you kidding me?
It is the best. It's way better than June.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that because we got married.
I can. I mean, we got married in June too, and it's her birthday, but still, November is better.
But yeah, the treatments and honestly, everybody's treatment is different. Yeah. Everybody doesn't get chemo. Everybody, some people. I met one lady. She just got radiation. So it just really all depends on. But it was absolutely horrible. And let me say this. I have to say this and be honest. I'm telling everybody to get your mammograms and do your checks. They made my mammogram appointment and I did not go because I am not ready.
That's real. I
am not ready.
That's real.
And I told my doctor, you can make that mammogram appointment as long as you want to. Until I feel something, I ain't going. I'm just not, I'm not ready. They know I ain't got cancer in my right breast because I still get CTs and they check me out, but I'm not ready. I'm just not ready.
I get the medical side, but at the end of the day, you experienced that trauma. You know what I mean? Like
at that place.
None of us you experienced it. So of course that's a conversation for you and Mike to have, but you do it when you're ready.
Yeah. That's what my doctor said too, honestly, because they check me out every 3 weeks. It's just now because I just had breast cancer, I still have to go. But yeah, I am not ready. That place is where I found out I had breast cancer, and it was so traumatizing that day. It was so traumatic that day.
And see, my mom, and she was in her she was 70, as a matter of fact. She had it, and she didn't tell us nothing about it until after she had got her stuff and it had gone. And I don't believe in disrespecting my mom. I don't at all. But we sure gave her a piece of our mind. Like, yo, woman, you could have been dead.
We didn't want
and we
y'all
wondering why
worried
you dead, and you didn't tell us nothing. Worried? What if she had been out of here? We wouldn't have known nothing. We would have been like left in La La Land wondering what's going on. So we're like, look, I love you.
That generation
don't do that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That's how that generation is.
That's another parallel.
I want that generation to be here. I want the generation to still be here. Like, I don't want her to exit. And I'm thinking she's just going to old age. And I'd rather be. I would have been upset. That's what I'm saying. It would have been an anger. That I really shouldn't have had, because you feel like you're being cheated, and that's why I guess what I'm saying is something like that, as bad as you would not, you don't want to tell because you might feel like, you're going to be exposed and people are going to look at you differently. But I guess on the flip side of that is I may not know how bad the situation is. So I don't want to cheat those who love me out of the time that I may have left. You know what I mean? To
Right.
keep it to myself for a sake of, I guess, sake of pride.
Right.
And that was our thing. Was like, yo, you could have been out of here. You could have been gone in 6 months, and you didn't tell us anything about my mom and my dad. We got both of them jokers because both of them had their own things. But they didn't tell it. You know, they didn't tell us anything. Like, yo, you can't do that. So, I mean, we got to know. We need to know for insurance purposes, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we got her straight, so now she back on the straight and narrow path. Where India go?
India, where you at?
I understand her not telling you though.
I don't.
If I could have gone and not told anybody, I probably would have too.
No, we can't have them kind of secrets. We laid her out. we gave her a nice son, mother, respectful conversation. We didn't.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask. I asked India the same thing. You said that Mariah came and hugged you a lot, but how did your son? You know, because the thing is, I think sometimes when we tell the story, some people don't, tell how their kids reacted to this. How did your children?
I actually posted a video when Ethan told the world his response, and he was just kind of like, because my mom wanted to do it in this big old setting and like with everybody sitting. And I know Ethan would have been like, okay, what's wrong? What happened?
Right.
So I just casually did it in the car. Like, Ethan, I got something to tell you. He's like, okay, what's up? And because he's just so cool. He's so cool. I was like, well, I went to the doctor. He was like, Mom, what? I was like, well, I found out I have breast cancer. He was like, is it bad? I was like, I don't think it's that bad. He was like, well, Mom, I know you're going to be fine. Grandma was sick before. He was like, Grandma was sick before. They put Grandma on hospice, and she was with us for a whole year. And look at Nana. Look at what Nana went through, and she's fine. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking that I'm going to have to pull to the side of the road, and he ain't cried at all. He was, I know you're going to be okay. And
that's why you need to tell the people, because we can't handle it.
he was like, I know you're going to be fine. And he used to bring me the best glass of water, like the best ice and the best water ever. And I told him that, Ethan, this is the best water ever.
See,
it was the same water.
He didn't like it. And when he saw me with no hair for the first time, he was like, well, you still look pretty. I was like, I know. He was like, never mind, Mom.
You just took my moment. Like, let me
go get you some water.
Right. But he handled it. He handled it like a G. He handled it well. The same way I did when my mom, was down. The same exact way I handled it. So he wanted to go with me, but of course he couldn't go with me to my treatments or anything. But I think my last treatment that I have November the 16th, I think I'm gonna take him with me because he's 12, so he can go.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna take him with me.
Yeah, you got something to take it. She put up that church finger.
I did. I put my church finger up. I'm coming down the middle aisle. Well, I think it's important. I heard you say, Amber, just not wanting to tell people because you didn't want them to be upset. And TJ, you were saying you didn't want, the opposite. You wanted to be able to, know and be a part of whatever that healing community would look like, for your mom. And so I think there's two important things to take from that is that when people are in a vulnerable position and we already are being, closed off by what we're going through, it's important to know, number one, that we do have people that we can confide in, but two, when we confide in you with this very personal thing, make sure your reaction is not one that would cause us to withdraw or be closed back in. So I think it's just important to. It sounds like your reaction would have been appropriate. You would have been there for your mom. You would have been a rock for her. But sometimes the reactions aren't that way. No. Sometimes we don't get the reaction. Sometimes people overreact, and we don't need that either. It's like, I'm sure that Amber probably would have, been more guarded, had someone just like she said, there's certain friends she knew she couldn't tell because they were going to be extra with it. So, and you didn't need anybody to hug you too hard.
I had a client that cried in my chair for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there like, You
Did she
done?
pay you for them tears?
Like, are you done, girl?
Her $5 a tear.
Right, because
So
look at me. Because I'm like, look at me. I'm done. Are you done?
yeah,
Because I'm fine. Look at me.
Like, I'm the one sick, not you. And why you crying?
exactly,
Right.
My
And
face
then
exactly.
is
I've had
dry.
those people. I've also had those people that just didn't know what to say. Like one girl was like, "Cancer is just the worst thing to have," and I said, "Oh Lord."
Oh God.
Some people just don't know what to say.
No, it's true. It's true.
And
Yeah.
so it wasn't really a me trying to keep it from everybody. Yeah, I didn't want to appear like weak, but again,
hmm
people don't know what to say.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah,
You're
People
exactly
just
right.
don't know what
I
to
learned
say.
if you don't know what to say, honestly, man, because like we lost Leela. People said something. I mean, why in the devil? And I don't cuss, but it was ever close. Why would you tell somebody, "Oh, don't worry about it. You can have some more."
Oh
Exactly.
no.
Don't do that.
Do you know what I want to tell you right now? But Jesus and the Holy
Oh,
Spirit and the whole
but wait a
army of
minute.
heaven is.
But they came back and said, well, you know what? Never mind. You got 3 girls. You good.
But so
My fourth one was just as special as the other 3 I have.
You
you know,
Really? Why would you?
You're
Yeah.
right, folks.
Just don't say
something.
nothing.
That's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Is just not to say anything or just say, you know what, I'm praying for you. You know, I'm there for you. You know, no, I ain't gonna cuss, Clarice. No, I'm not gonna cuss. I'm gonna cuss. It was. But I'm just saying,
Get him,
like,
She
Clarice.
said she would cuss for
oh,
you.
okay, yeah.
Clarice said she'll cuss
I want
for
you to
you.
stay. I want you to
She
stay
will cuss on
sane,
your
Clarice.
behalf.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
people do. People say some of the dumbest stuff, and it's like, hold on, do you have a brain? Or if it's in there, that junk surely ain't working right. Like, I mean, they do this. So yeah, that's one thing I did learn is honestly the best thing sometimes to say is nothing at all.
Nothing.
Yeah, listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
He
Yeah.
did.
And there are many times when we should listen more than we speak.
Study to be
And
quiet.
James.
absolutely.
James.
Study.
I use the acronym WAIT.
Mhm.
It means why am I talking? So think about WAIT
Mhm.
before you speak. And if what you're about to say is not about to edify, then you
Mhm.
probably just sit, be quiet and listen
Hush, hush,
for your turn
hush,
to speak.
Thank you.
hush.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
So
Did
See, now you done
when me and
started something.
Sherry get to arguing, I'm just gonna say, wait. Why
Sherry
you
be
don't say
right.
something? No. Why
Sherry
am I
be right.
talking? Wait.
Sherry be right, honestly.
You know how that turned out.
Right. Thank you, Amber. But yeah.
Well, look, Amber, don't be telling the truth. We don't want to hear that.
She be right.
I don't want to hear
Even with
that.
me, she always right.
You know what?
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that. The truth will make you free, I guess. But we don't want to hear that still.
And there, I do agree with TJ and Amber. Yeah, I'm waiting for that book. I would love to read it because you're bringing out some great points.
Mhm.
So in our next few minutes, because we are over our time, which is fine because I love it. But if y'all have any other pointers or any other advice that you would like to give people who are ignorant and people who need some advice, because
No, they're ignorant. Ignorant.
I mean, ignorance means lack of knowledge for those who may say it sounds harsh.
No,
but those who
it
don't
sounds
know
like it's supposed to sound. They
Yeah.
make ignorant comments.
Right.
Any advice, any parallels, anything that would be helpful. Because the thing is, a lot of people, they brush over this because if it don't sweep around their front door, they're just not going to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But somebody is listening.
Yeah.
A lot of somebody.
Check your boob.
There you go. Check them.
Your boobs.
Oh,
Plain and simple.
Okay, TJ.
I'm working on them starting Monday.
But you know what? I have heard that having your partner check your boobs helps too, because a lot of times they can yeah.
Come here, Sherry. Live on Thursday.
My lump was not visible to me. I actually had to make Mike feel it once it wasn't visible. I thought it was actually a part of my breast. It wasn't like one that was growing on the outside. It was actually felt like it could have been a part of my breast. So it was totally different.
Wow.
Thank you, India. We gotta have a breast check.
See,
I'm just saying what I had read.
Thank you. Yes. Woo!
Okay. But okay, so the other thing I wanted to share was, number one, if you can see my shirt,
Yeah,
choose
I was
happy,
gonna mention
choose
that
happy.
earlier.
Listen. At the end of the day, now that's not to say that that relationships won't have ups and downs and everything is not going to be smooth sailing. But if you have to fight for peace, if you have to fight for just your dignity, that you got to reassess it. You got to reassess it. I've seen people go through things in their marriage that they overcame because they both realized that it was something that they needed to fix and work on, and they both committed to that work and put that
Right.
work in. So it's not always a lost cause. I will
Right.
say that too. It's not always a lost cause, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it is. Sometimes it's recognizing when it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think for our community of supporters who are out there listening, um, I think it's important to know what you can have in your arsenal
Mm-hmm.
to help someone that you may encounter that may need it. Because a lot of times we're caught off guard and
Mm-hmm.
someone may share something with us and we're like, girl, I'm gonna pray for you. Cause
Mhm.
like we don't know where to send them.
That's that moment to wait.
We don't know, right? We don't know what to tell them.
Right.
So go ahead. You know how we say always have a scripture or on the tip of your tongue and in your heart, so you can, when you hear what someone is going through, you know that appropriate scripture to share with them, so that
Mhm.
same thing. Put that in your tool bag. So the number or the website to interact,
Mm-hmm.
or any of these other organizations that may be out here to help folks who may be going through domestic violence. Have that at your fingertips. They've got the little cards and everything. Keep it in your pocket. You know, whip it out if you need to. Slide it in somebody's, bag or whatever it is, that you feel like is appropriate. But have that information to be helpful.
Right.
Have that information. We have to be more responsible as um, each other's keeper.
Right.
To have that in our tool bag. So yeah.
So one thing. So when you do the book, can it be like an audio book? Can you use your voice? Because your voice is
Also,
really soothing. So
And
can you talk?
See,
Can you talk? Do that? Do that?
what y'all trying to do to me
Amber,
tonight?
and put Kenny Rogers in there. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. That's
That's
the lyric. Yeah, but you got to
chapter
pay for that one though, so you
chapter
might not.
5. No, ain't no
Yeah, you got to pay
royalty.
for
We
that.
ain't doing that.
Amber, you should
Uh-huh.
also
Kenny, you don't, we ought to know what Kenny look like. All that plastic surgery he done had.
anyway. Amber, you should
I don't.
also
Is he alive?
No, he
you should,
died.
Oh, okay. Well,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes,
Well, I
I'm
guess
sitting
you
here
know.
He
like,
I
died.
guess
I'm
you
sitting
still got to pay
like,
some type of royalty. So you can't come back and tell you he don't want it in your book. Lord forgive me. Wait. Why am I talking? Let me stop.
y'all
See
ain't
what I'm
praying.
saying?
Y'all ain't praying.
Whew.
See what I'm
Y'all ain't,
saying?
it's
It's too
past
late
our,
for me to
it's
be
our
laughing this
bedtime.
hard.
Oh,
It's our bedtime. It is our
Pastor
bedtime.
is delirious. Pastor
It's,
is delirious.
it's past our bed. But Amber, I mean, not only the talking, I love to hear India talk, but you should
Me too.
also see her act. She is an amazing actress. I love to see. She does the plays and stuff, and I love to see her act.
When I get back to writing my plays, man, I'm asking God to give me back my creativity. Clarice was in the last one.
Yes.
I gotta get. I'm asking God to give it back to me. I'm gonna have to see what we can do together.
She's
Yeah.
like the
Bring it
comic
on.
relief. I love.
Yeah,
I mean, she got her serious roles, but I love the comic.
Yeah.
The comic relief.
You know what?
Hilarious.
I think I'm gonna bring that back. Once COVID leaves, I think I'm gonna bring that back
Yes.
and
Yes, do that.
see what happens. Yeah.
But yeah. Amber, do you have anything else you want to add, or India?
Oh, I do. Just one thing. So
Okay, there we go.
I did come up with the foundation.
Yes.
I'm a hustler. I'm a businesswoman. Like I'll find anything. Listen, I'll break a nail and try to come up with something to sell behind it. So, but anyway, the name of my foundation is Beauty Me Forever. Beauty Me Forever was backwards, but this is it. So it's a breast cancer foundation, and we have beauty boxes. Isn't it cute?
It's
So
very
you buy one, and I give one away to a breast cancer survivor, thriver, whoever. So I've given away, like I started back in April, and I think I've given away like 60 boxes so far. So that means people have purchased 60 boxes. So this is our new box. I think I have like 7 more left. And if I'm gonna come out with new boxes each quarter. So there will be every 2 months, every other month, I think. Yeah. The next one is come out in December. So the holiday box will be out in December. So that's what I have going on right now. I'm excited about it. I just be dropping them off at the hospital. Sorry.
You'll be
Fusion.
dropping that off at the hospital, didn't you?
But
She said, "I've been dropping off."
I was like, I'm trying to hold it in.
Uh-huh.
I was trying to hold it in, but no.
Let it out.
Yeah. So my website should be up there. So I have
Yes.
T-shirts, but the box has a lot. It's filled with a lot of goodies, and of course, the breast cancer patient or survivor, thriver, their box is a little different. It has more stuff depending on their individual case. But yeah, so that's what I have going on.
That's
I'd like
right.
to
Check
share.
Check a boot.
Yes,
boot.
absolutely. I love that. I love that, Amber.
Thank you.
So
She should make a t-shirt.
the two sites that I want to share is they're already in the chat, I believe.
Yes.
Seasonsvillage.org is a very new nonprofit organization based here in Wake County. I serve on the board of directors for this organization, and it's not necessarily related to domestic violence, but it's supporting single mothers and helping them to just really um, just transcend, generational issues that cause poverty and things like that. So it's really trying to impact not just the next generation, but 2 generations out, right?
Right.
So it's providing education and support, housing, that sort of thing. And so it's a new organization, and we know that many times with anything that's new, it needs support, it needs financial support.
Yes.
And so we're in that phase where we're having our first fundraiser, and we're getting donations. So if you go to seasonsvillage.org, there should be a donate button somewhere located on that first page where you can provide a donation that will go pour into single mothers, which single mothers end up being a population that experiences domestic violence, and typically that may be what brought them into single motherhood. It's not always the case, but it's sometimes the case. And so I wanted to make that correlation. And also for a resource, I put the ncadv.org, which is the National Domestic Violence Organization, where you can learn more information. Like I said, equip yourself with the knowledge to be a support member or an advocate. And it's, for people who maybe experience it as well as if you're a perpetrator, just kind of know, is that me? Like, is that me? Am I really doing that? So, I mean, it's a lot of information on that site, and you can break it down to the specific state and find statistics and things like that for specific states. So those two sites, definitely hit those up.
You made me bring up the wheel. I had to go through there and look to see if I was doing any of that stuff. I don't think I'm in there. If I
Believe me, I
was,
will tell
Sherry
you
would
if
let
you
me
in there.
know,
I sure will.
or one of my eyes would be discolored or something like that.
So patterns is what, patterns, because we all have episodes, right? We all have moments. We're not perfect creatures. But I think what it shows you is that when you see multiple items on that wheel, then it's like, oh, red flag. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Amber and India, we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much. For those that are up here who stayed up here this whole time, thank you so much for our supporters. Please go out and support Amber's Beauty Me Forever box. Please support that. For those who and the t-shirts and so forth. If not, just hit Amber up on the inbox. She'll tell you all that you need to know in supporting on breast
She'll
cancer.
let you know whether you get out of her inboxes, whether it's okay to inbox her. One of the two.
Check
will not be a
Look at
secret.
Look at my shirt. Thou shalt not try me.
Oh, yes. I know that's right. Because I throw hands.
And for those...
Gotta try Jesus.
And for those dealing with domestic violence or know someone who's dealing with domestic violence, India has given out 2 very important single mothers. That was another segment that I had done one time that I most definitely want to bring back up again. So please look at both of those websites, find out how you can support, and more importantly, what are the signs? Even my husband done Googled and looked up certain signs and the power and control wheel. He done looked it up and everything. I think there's signs. I think God gives warnings all the time, but a lot of times we're so caught up in our lives and we don't want to pay attention, especially if it's not a priority. And then when it is brought to our attention and we are looking at it a little bit, we're kind of in denial. But we have to find a way to really pay attention and then find a way to confront. Acknowledging things and confronting things are very hard for all of us. but it's something that we have to do, whether what season you're in, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be breast cancer, whether it be a stillbirth, you know, or a loss of a loved one, those type, facing grief, you know, and grief in any area. And I'm not just talking about losing a loved one, because grief can be in losing your boob, you know what I'm saying, losing that relationship, you know, losing a child. It is different facets of grief, which we will talk about again next year for our grief segment. But I thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your testimony, sharing your advice. I pray that this has blessed someone. I believe it has blessed someone. And I pray that you all go out and support India's the foundations that she suggested, as well as Amber's with her breast cancer Beauty for Me Forever boxes. I love you guys, and I thank you so much.
And we also pray God's blessings to increase in your life.
Yes.
Even
the book.
Yeah.
I receive it.
Yes.
Definitely.
The book.
Yes.
Yes.
You can even title it India.
Your
The book.
too, Amber.
The book.
Volume 1, volume. And tell Mike we thank him for the neon.
The boom room lights.
Oh my God. Magic City.
Magic City.
No. Not that one.
But we pray that y'all have a blessed week. Weekend. Y'all continue to be safe. Continue to spread your message. We will most definitely keep y'all in prayer and believe in God to open doors wherever y'all feet shall tread or wherever your hands may touch. In Jesus' name. All right. I know I felt a little churchy right there. So y'all have a great one. Love you guys.
Yeah, I better go ahead before you start prophesying.
I feel like praying and going.
Go ahead and do it.
No,
See y'all.
Thursday love
Go
show.
Go ahead.
I love y'all. Y'all have a great night. We're gonna play this video. Love y'all.
Thursday.